MSNBC put out this video, which is, wow. It kind of speaks for itself, right? So the caption says, "War games. It's 2027. China is poised to invade Taiwan. This is the scenario of an unprecedented war game produced with CNASDC, the Center for New American Security, to envision a war between the U.S. and China." Oh, that sounds lovely. I can't wait. Oh, man. Let's take a look.
Welcome back. As the White House continues its focus on providing Ukraine with the support it needs in its war against Russia, President Biden will turn his attention to another region today with its own security concerns. It's Southeast Asia. The president will host Southeast Asian leaders at the White House as the U.S. seeks to assure our allies in that region that it is committed to their security amid a looming threat from China. The timing of this meeting happens to come as our latest episode of Meet the Press Reports takes you inside something that's never been seen on camera. A full-day war game exercise that imagines how America would react to a Chinese attempt at essentially invading and taking Taiwan. Here's a sneak peek.
As you can see here on the map is a very large concentration of Chinese People's Liberation Army forces at potential ports of debarkation for an invasion.
Just so we're very clear from the beginning, you know what this is, right? They're manufacturing consent. They are mentally conditioning people and getting them ready for the future when, you know, they start heating things up with China and there's an escalation with China. This is how they get the population in the West to accept antagonistic, offensive, aggressive foreign policy. Okay? Imperialism. Right? Because right now, everything is going on with Ukraine. At the same time, there's a lot happening with Taiwan. So I'll break that down in a second. Let's just finish the video and discuss.
I want to focus on a last-ditch effort to deter. This is a time to be sending the strongest possible message to Beijing, both privately and publicly, that there will be very severe costs if they actually go through with this.
China has sort of seen our reaction to Ukraine, and we want to make sure
there will be very severe costs. Look at the way they speak. What do you think? China is your child or your dog or your student or something? What does that mean? Severe consequences. You're going to discipline them? Again, with this whole "we are the world police." Says who? Says who? Maybe if you set a good example, you know, fine. At least that would be half an issue. That would be half an issue. But the hypocrisy is what gets me, you know?
Sure that we're surprising them with how we react here.
Hit the Americans as hard as we possibly can in the Western Pacific, keep them out of the fight while we move on Taiwan.
I would support an early knockout punch against Guam. I think we start very forcefully with a missile bombardment on Taiwan. I think we want to bring their military to their knees.
All right, Stacey, high level here. What just happened with Move 1?
China's invaded Taiwan. It began by attacking Taiwan's outlying islands near the mainland. Then it followed it with a large air and missile strike on Taiwan and on U.S. bases in Japan and on U.S. bases in Guam and the Northern Marianas. In response to that, the United States followed up with bomber attacks on on Chinese ships in port. And there was an air battle over Taiwan where American aircraft flying from the Philippines came in and engaged in combat with Chinese aircraft that were trying to bomb Taiwan.
So after Move 1, can you assess which team is winning?
I think it's a stalemate right now. China has strategically blundered by pulling Japan in, and the United States is still well positioned to defend, but China also has a lot of its assets left and has a lot of power that it can apply.
It's a stalemate, right? Can't have the Chinese ever winning. Can't make them look good. I mean, obviously, this is just war games. But, you know, what have we had happening in the past few months? Well, the United States, the United Kingdom, and Australia, they formed a military alliance called AUKUS. And, you know, the goal here is to antagonize China, basically. They want to give the Australians not nuclear armed, nuclear-powered submarines. So these are submarines with conventional armaments, but instead of being diesel-powered, they run on a nuclear reactor, on nuclear energy. And so this raises questions, of course, about the Nuclear Non-Proliferation Treaty, of which Australia is a signatory. But of course, the Chinese are not stupid. This is a provocation for no reason, right? And they didn't mention China by name, but they say, we want to make the Indo-Pacific, we want to bring peace and stability to the Indo-Pacific. Well, judging by the last time Australia and the UK and the US brought peace and stability to the Middle East, if I were China, I'd be fucking worried about these lot. So, that's code. That's politicians speak for, we want to antagonize China. And then what happened after that? We had Lindsey Graham leading a US delegation to Taiwan, right? Basically signaling that we want to maybe have a mini Ukraine, in the sense that if you look at 2014 with Victoria Nuland and the Obama administration, what were they doing? They basically transformed Ukraine with a coup into a U.S. ally instead of leaving it as an independent country, right? And with Taiwan wants U.S. support, of course. I think you cannot compare it to Ukraine. What I'm trying to say is that the level of propaganda you're seeing right now that is pro-Ukraine and pro-NATO and anti-Russian, you might see that in the case of China-Taiwan, where they were trying to paint it as, oh, well, Taiwan is the victim and China's violating its sovereignty and we have to go in and help Taiwan, which, again, makes no sense because the United States does not recognize Taiwan as an independent country. The United States has a one China policy, as it's called, since the last 50 years. So China's policy is that Taiwan is part of China. It's one China. And the official position of the US, they agree with it. However, as I reported just a few days ago, the State Department changed the wording on its page about its relations with Taiwan. Before, it's very crystal clear. It said the United States does not support independence for Taiwan. Very clear, like extremely explicit and unequivocal. And they changed it. And so when you read it, you might, to be fair, it does sound pretty similar, but why change that? Every president for the last 40 years, 50 years had the same position. Even Trump, with all of his issues with China, right? So that's weird. And Beijing noticed that, and they condemned the Americans. And then, of course, at the same time, you've had a security pact signed between the Solomon Islands and China. And the response from the Americans was that if you put a base there, if China puts a base there, there will be consequences. So, again, isn't it funny how when Russia says to Finland and Sweden, if you join NATO, we will respond, the media say, oh my God, Putin is threatening the West. And then when the US says the exact same thing to China.
Welcome back. As the White
They're warning them. They're cautioning them. Do you see how they soften it? It's the same thing. As a matter of fact, I think it's even more ridiculous because the Solomon Islands are 2,000 miles, 2,000 kilometers from Australia, even further from the US. So, you can't compare that to Ukraine, which is literally on Russia's border. And of course, if we're talking about Finland and Sweden, if anyone has a right to feel threatened, it's Russia. This is just pick up a fucking map. Seriously, don't insult my intelligence or your own intelligence. Look at a bloody map. Look at a bloody map. And so the thing here is that they're trying to prep people, in my opinion. I really, really hope I'm wrong because, Ukraine is its own disaster. We don't need more wars. And seriously, when does it end, right? But this is not a good sign. I don't like this war games and potential U.S. Fighting China. Do you know what that even means? This is not going to be what they are saying it is, right? Oh, there was a dogfight, and then they took out, they disabled the Taiwan military. No. You have nuclear powers messing with each other. This is going to be cataclysmic, and not only on the military front, just by having China and the U.S. fight each other. Do you know what that will do to the world economy? My goodness, these people, they try to normalize the media. They try to normalize the fucking apocalypse. Like, they have lost it. They have lost this. They're so blinded with this jingoism, with this gung-ho, yeah, let's go to war. We're going to do this and that. And they try to sell it to you with, oh, it's defending the sovereignty of this. And it's complete hypocrisy and nonsense. They are leading people down a really dangerous road. And it's really sick. It's really twisted how they try to package it in a lie, whether it's with Russia or with China. This is really sick. And the last thing we need are more wars. They need to cut this out, man. Just again, always look at the map. Who is going to whose doorstep? Does China have aircraft carriers and bases surrounding the U.S.? No. Does the U.S. have bases, submarines, aircraft carriers in the sea, in the China Sea? Right? You tell me. Look at the map. Who's going to whose doorstep? And this answers your question. All right.